basically, I head the English department for CBSE and the Cambridge segment. While I was in this course, I was not teaching a particular class, but I was shadowing one of the English teachers, Miss Seema Chandu, and we worked closely with the students of grade 4.
Asking you, what are some new practices that you introduced as a result of taking the course on mistakes?
Through the course on mistakes, I gained insights specifically into common errors that students make and how to address them effectively. One new practice I introduced is conducting regular error analysis sessions where students collaboratively identify and we discuss common errors in their work. So, this approach helps students recognize patterns in their errors and develop strategies to correct them. In the course book, I came across this statement: the thought process of the erring student reveals itself more and more. And I can certainly attest to the truth of this statement in my own journey as an educator, especially in the span of the last 3 months, where I've observed that as students engage in error analysis and reflection, they begin to articulate their thinking more clearly.
So, which of these practices were you following, at least to some extent, even before taking the course? I'm sure a person as experienced as you in these things in some way or the other.
Absolutely, Nirja. Prior to the course, I occasionally, to be honest, discussed common errors with students, but it was not a structured or a regular practice. I considered it more as a remedial practice, but never went into detail to understand errors, as resources to analyze the thought process of the students. I didn't set the ground to discuss errors. I didn't encourage students to reflect on their mistakes. And of course, I take the blame as well when I say that I didn't quite focus on creating a comfortable environment for discussing and learning from mistakes. It was more at a superficial level. We didn't get into the depth of it.
So, is that what you mean by setting the ground, making a comfortable environment?
Absolutely. What I mean is, especially with children and even for adults for that matter, acknowledging and accepting mistakes doesn't come naturally.
Yeah.
And when you are in a classroom setup with 30 children in your classroom, I'm sure it's not an easy task to own up to mistakes, especially in our setup. When I look back to my days being a student, I still remember once upon a time, my English teacher telling me that there is no room for mistakes in my classroom. That did intimidate me as a learner.
Wow.
We have sadly been the classroom setup has been such where we condemn mistakes,
Yes, yes.
right? And over a period of time, and at least without a doubt, at the end of this course, Nirja, something that I have really learned and it'll stick close to my heart forever is if we condemn making mistakes, sorry to say, students might just they'll begin to condemn learning.
Oh, beautifully said. Beautifully said. So, what are the ways in which you modified your practices or adopted new practices?
Yes. So, as I was just discussing a couple of seconds ago, focusing on creating a comfortable environment for discussing and learning from mistakes. First is you recognize that mistakes are an inevitable part of the learning process. Once you do that, my second aim is to normalize the concept of making errors and not to view them as sources of shame, but as opportunities for growth rather. Okay. Moreover, the biggest challenge is acknowledging that we are not exempt from making mistakes. So I incorporated a reflective approach to highlight and discuss my own errors as well. If I may, I will just
Yeah, go
show
ahead.
it to you. Okay. So if you look at the left-hand side, you see a list of common errors. This is what Ms. Seema had done with her grade 4 English classroom, right? After an assessment was conducted, so they discussed their common errors listed on the board and, of course, worked towards filling in the learning gaps. But on the right-hand side, if you see, there is another list of common errors. And if you see, I've listed a couple of them as spelling, sentence structure. I want you to, focus on the plus one, plus one, plus one that I have added over there. As I mentioned earlier, even for students, it's not very comfortable to own up or, discuss that, yes, I made this mistake, I made this error. So I had this, I think I did this exercise with students of grade 6 and 7, where we completed an assessment, and then the answer script was with them. And I said, okay, why not we list a few errors, some errors that we made? And children were not very comfortable. They were like, no, ma'am, I don't think I've made, mistakes that can be listed on the board. Then what I did was I, wrote common errors, and I told them, when I was in grade 6, my spellings were bad. This was a common error, and I really gave my teachers a hard time. So I would say the common errors that I make, and trust me, being your English teacher, I still have to look up to the dictionary to cross check the meaning or the spelling, and then I write spelling. Then next I wrote, not proofreading. This is something that I did a lot in my middle school years, not proofreading my answers before submitting. And after listing a few errors, is there anybody who was on the same boat like me? And then we had one student raising up saying, ma'am, I think I'm a little weak in spellings. And I add that plus one. And that plus one happened. It went on like a chain. They felt comfortable sharing it. Right? This is what I was talking about, Nirja, setting the ground. When you show them that you are no less vulnerable, when you show them that, yes, I, being your teacher, can make mistakes, it's fine. We can work on them and we can fill the learning gaps. So this is that first step where I went and highlighted the mistakes that I made as a middle year student. Children were more comfortable in opening up and saying, ma'am, yes, I do make those mistakes as well. And that slowly that built up happened with plus one, plus one, plus one.
Lovely, beautiful. So my next question to you is, this sounds to a teacher who's going to do this maybe after watching your video. The first question which will come to their mind is, this is going to take a lot of time. How much extra time did you have to invest to implement these practices?
Yes, I do agree. It will take time, but it is all about how you structure it and plan it. So implementing these practices did require some time, but nonetheless, not much, as probably I would kind of foresee. Maybe I have my syllabus to complete. I have so much of coursework to do in the class. But once you plan it and structure it, it can actually seamlessly flow in the duration of your class transaction. I will just share another slide with you, run you through a couple of activities that we did.
Yes.
So this was especially with children who get confused with the formation of B and D. So quick exercise in spotting them. A dummy worksheet that we did listing the common errors, and we gave it to the children, telling them that they've been sourced from another school, but of the same grade level. And look, if you can see my screen, how beautifully children have taken red pencil and corrected as a teacher and highlighted the errors.
1 minute, 1 minute. Can you go back to that?
Sure.
When you say dummy worksheet, what do you mean by dummy worksheet?
Okay. So so we've picked up a grade 4 worksheet, right? And this is what the answers that have been written by me. So we gave them to the children, telling them that they have been sourced from another school, and the kids have filled in their responses, and we wanted them to correct it for us, right? So it was a dummy worksheet, and children correcting them, thinking that it is done by their peers. At the end of the day, what happened was, what I had listed were the errors that they make, probably not beginning with a capital letter, leaving answers.
You mean you had deliberately made those errors in the...
Deliberately, absolutely. These are the common errors of that grade 4 students make. But when they were correcting it, they thought that, it is some other children of another school.
Right.
In fact, on that note, I would love to share the responses that children had when we did this dummy worksheet exercise. Just hear them. Ma'am, even I make these errors.
Right.
You students were like, my God, these kids are just reckless. They're not even checking their answers before submitting. They make the errors just like us. As I said, common ground. And they're reflecting on their mistakes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we did a couple of these activities and I've listed the time for you. The common errors discussion did not take more than 15 minutes.
Wow.
Spotting B&D, just about 10 minutes. And I must tell you the fun they had and the challenge they took. But it did reap benefits. They can now easily identify the difference between B and D formations. Dummy worksheet, yes, it took about some time because there was correction involved, there was discussion and a lot of reflection happening in the class. But Nirja, it was worth it. Those 40 minutes were worth it. And we had another targeted activity for the learning gap that grade 4 students had, a part of punctuation, another 10 minutes, nothing more. So as I said, if we structure it, plan it, it is not going to take the amount of time that I may feel. This for educators, this, comes as a hesitation. How much
Yes.
of my teaching time will it take?
Yes.
How much
Yes.
of my course syllabus will I have to compromise to do this?
Yes.
But trust me, it is coming from a space where it is tried and tested. You plan it, you structure it, it will happen without affecting much of your course syllabus time.
Okay. So can we say then, that's a nice one. Let our
Yes,
viewers
this
see.
was the activity that we had. Children often, didn't, especially with punctuation, with comma, they used to get confused. So wonderful activity. Oh, it was a laughter riot, nonetheless, with lot of learning.
Nice one. So, would you say then, Sujana, that this is an investment? You're investing some time in order to see some tangible changes.
Absolutely. Because, Nirja, it would be a crime as a teacher if I did not invest this time. The learning gap is going to widen each day
Yes.
for the child. He moves to the next grade level and it widens and widens up to a time where the child becomes so helpless.
Yes.
And as a teacher, just imagine if these small learning gaps, which we should probably take care of in middle school,
Yes.
is not taken care of, and the child reaches grade 12 for still making errors with the formation of BND or where to place the punctuation.
Exactly. So, what are some tangible or even measurable changes that you have seen, Sujana, both in students and in the teachers you shadowed? Any?
Yes, for students, one is they started receiving errors, something to analyze, reflect on with an open mind that yes, I do make errors, but I can always work on them, fill on the learning gap, and learn from them. Right? They did not see them as sources of shame. By the end of the 5 months, children were fine. They were okay to discuss about errors, with few even coming up and saying that, ma'am, I'm constantly making this error with articles. I think there's something that I'm not understanding. If you can sit with me for 5 minutes, can we
Wow.
discuss this? Right? So at this junction, for me, students being open and receptive to this idea is a big achievement.
Absolutely.
Right? And for teachers, Nirja, to be honest, it has been a paradigm shift, right? Moving from an environment where, as I was talking about, where mistakes are condemned, rather abhorred, to see them as opportunities that open to a learner's cognition
Yes.
of his or her, gaps
Thought
in
process.
understanding, errors, patterns. Okay, the biggest takeaway, in fact, has been that when we start discussing errors, somewhere we are opening the window of metacognition, especially
Yes.
for children,
Yes.
to think, okay, how could I have done it differently?
Yes.
What is there a gap? Is there something that I've not understood? Most of the times we brand and label children as reckless errors, careless errors,
Yes.
but we don't get into the question about why he's making those errors.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And how are you going to take this forward, Sujana, now that the course is over?
Nirja, in fact, I'm sure you'll be happy to know that the process has been initiated. First is to share this knowledge with my peers.
Okay.
I have been taking small sessions and sharing my learning and the need and importance of error analysis and reflection in our classrooms.
Nice.
Okay. See, the focus needs to shift, Nirja. It needs to shift from the act of worksheet remedial. We conduct an assessment or probably, be it formative or summative in nature. And then we sit with a period of remedial discussion. how can we do that? And, purposely I've called it as an act of worksheet remedial, because at the end of the course, I feel like, I've not done justice to it. The remedial mostly boils down to me giving correct answers to the children, but
Right.
never having discussed their mistakes.
Exactly.
Never
Exactly.
realizing that those errors are giving me insights into students' understanding as well as misconception. And
Exactly.
also an opportunity for me to tailor instruction, address specific learning needs,
Yes.
and at the end of the day, improve the overall student performance.
Exactly. Exactly. So have you seen that happen? Student performance improving, or is that too soon?
Yes, yes, in definitely in a small measure, because we just had about 5 months to work with them. But the problems that we had identified, not only academically, in terms of students' handwriting, not submitting work, all of this also we've seen at least two children who have moved into the bracket of consistently completing their work, and about five children showing considerable improvement in their handwriting. But I must also give credit to the teacher, Miss Seema, for consistently following up with the children. It's important.
Right.
They are children at the end of the day, so they need that support and push motivation from the teacher. And
Absolutely.
children also see that, they see when they see that zeal, Nirja, passion is contagious. When children see that my teacher is working so hard so that I improve, so they'll also start, doing their bit from their side.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sujana. Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Nirja. And if I may, I just want to, put my learning in a nutshell and share it with all the listeners. Uh, Today, at the end of the course, I see myself as a teacher, educator, where mistakes are welcome in my classroom. Because for me today, they are the sources to promote learning. This course has shown me the need to move beyond right and wrong and use mistakes as a window to my students' thought process.
Thank you.